few more orders to get packed. This is a fun one. I sell a lot of card sleeves, just individual sleeves, and so the person bought Altaria and Vaporeon, Altaria from Champion's Path, and the Vaporeon from Hidden Fates. But they also bought these 3 sleeves from me, which I, based on the Vaporeon and these all being Eevee based, I assume they're trying to collect Eevee things, or Evolutions things. So this is the Van Gogh sleeve of Eevee. It's called Eevee Umbreon, I want to say Twilight. And then this was from the Eevee Heroes special collection box, which that is such a cool box. I never got one, and at this point I'm not going to purchase one. But man, it was awesome artwork. Huge regret that I never got one of those. Even when they were cheap, like right out the gate, they were. I think MSRP on them was like $100, and I don't recall if they ever dropped below $250. I think so. I was just like, no, I'm not gonna buy one for that much. I'll wait for the prices to come down. But sometimes when you do that, you just end up missing out instead of getting it. 'Cause I couldn't even tell you how much those boxes are worth now. Should I look it up? You know what? I'll look it up. Why not? Eevee Heroes box. Let's see. Eevee Heroes. Oh, do they not even have it? Whew. Wow. Cheapest one on TCG Player is $1,700. And I passed at $250. Some of those things. If a product has good fundamentals, even if it's scalped right away, sometimes, and you're not going to know, but sometimes it is worth it to just go ahead and buy it, even for a higher price. If you had access, I think they had a lottery for that one, and people had a chance to get it, but there seemed to be a handful of people that had a lot of them for sale simultaneously. So not sure if the lottery, if they figured out a way to bypass that at the time or what. But sometimes that's just how life works. People are clever. People figure things out. Want to take advantage of a system, especially if they like a product or find a way to make a living off of it. It is what it is. There's no point in getting upset about it, but that's just how it goes. And is it better for you to spend your time being frustrated and mad and complaining about that, or would it be better to put whatever time and mental effort that you'd be putting into being mad, putting it into doing something productive for yourself and getting yourself set up for the next time that you can capitalize on a situation or circumstance. So that's kind of the mentality that I've had to work to develop, and it isn't easy. You can't just like flip a switch and be like, I'm not going to get grumpy at this stuff anymore, because it is a difficult thing. When you experience something that's frustrating, it's hard to not actually get frustrated at that. And so you really have to practice. You have to put a lot of intentional effort into developing that mental discipline that can keep you and keep your frustration or irritation, keep that in check and make sure that you stay focused on whatever your objectives and goals are, because you're not always going to achieve them. You're going to make mistakes. People are going to take advantage of you. Really stinks. it is difficult to find people that are trustworthy in this world. And I'm hoping to establish myself as one of those trustworthy people, because at least I believe that I'm trustworthy. Um, it's one of the reasons why I wanted to start making this channel. In addition to selling all the stuff, I wanted to create a place where people actually can go. Like, my prices might not be the best. I might make mistakes. I might screw stuff up. I might, like, actually cause somebody a problem if I do make a mistake and send them the wrong thing. Maybe they pre-sold it to somebody else, and so they needed me to ship it to them right away. And if I sent them the wrong thing, then maybe they have flack from somebody else. Like, you never know what someone else's circumstances are in life, and so it's important to just, at least for me, what I've found is if you just assume that the person is operating in, like, good faith, like that they're not trying to take advantage of you, that they genuinely made a mistake, or somebody, like, just assume that they have an emergency that needs to be completed. Same thing with driving on the road. Like, people speed past you and fly by, but maybe literally they have someone in the car that's having a heart attack right now and they're trying to get to the hospital. Like, anytime somebody does something that, like, is frustrating or irritating to me, I've always tried my best to remind myself that maybe they have something really important going on that I don't know about. And so they have that need to drive recklessly or whatever it is. Because there's no harm in making that assumption, and then it helps you not get as frustrated. Because if I want to assume this, I don't know for certain, but if you knew that somebody had literally just cut off their arm with a chainsaw, and their friend was there and is like, we got to get to the hospital now, and are driving like crazy, one, I would hope that they'd have their emergency flashers on to indicate that something is wrong and for other people to be aware. If you ever are driving like that because there's an emergency, please turn your flashers on. But two, just let them go. Let them drive how they're going to drive. Yeah, it might be endangering other people, but maybe they are in danger. Like, it's one of those trade-offs where you can make the choice of getting mad or frustrated, or not getting mad and frustrated. It genuinely is a choice, as much as it might not seem like it. If that's the way you've always been, if you've always not cared about how other people drive, or if you've always gotten frustrated about how other people do things or something happens, it's really, really difficult to shift that mindset and shift that mentality to be able to convince yourself that, oh, maybe something else is going on that I'm not aware of, and they have that need. Their need is a higher priority than whatever my need is at the moment. And if you practice that and really try, anytime that happens, remind yourself, oh, yeah, maybe they have something really important going on. You don't even need to jump into details and try to imagine what it is, unless that helps you, go for it. But if you're like, whatever they have going on is probably an emergency, just operate on that assumption, and it makes things a lot more relaxing and a lot easier to process and accept. Somebody cuts you off in traffic, hey, maybe that one car ahead will get them to their destination that much faster. Maybe they have a stroke victim in the car, and every second matters for that person's recovery. Like, that could be the case. That difference of one car length might make the difference for that person's life. Like, you just don't know. And so even if you can verify that nothing is wrong, and like maybe it's a coworker and they cut you off on the way to the same place, you follow them all the way to work the whole time, and you know that nothing was wrong, it doesn't hurt to just assume that there was anyway. Like, it's okay, I promise. It's one of those things, it is really hard to do. It takes a lot of effort. You have to constantly remind yourself. I still have to, and I've been doing it for basically since I started driving. It was one of the things that my mom taught me, And she's like, you never know who that person is and why they're driving the way they're driving. Just assume that they have an emergency. Assume that their need, unless you are the one going through the emergency, just make the assumption that they have a greater need. And it makes things like that much easier to digest and handle and accept for yourself. I know it was a long rant about driving. This is supposed to be about Pokemon stuff. But it is a useful life skill to be able to develop, to be able to have that initial response, that like fight or flight response initially, like where you get frustrated or you get excited or mad or happy, but being able to recognize that emotion in the moment and then make a choice whether or not that is the appropriate emotion to respond to the situation with. That is a life skill. That is something you have to practice and develop. It absolutely is doable. It absolutely is possible. As crazy as that might seem, choosing your emotional response to a circumstance is valid. So, just wanted to throw that out there. Another sale, first edition Sandslash. This one is damaged. You might not be able to see it in the light, but it has a big, like a big crease in the center of the card. Like, the card looks great otherwise. Like, I probably would have listed it as a light play, but because it's got that crease, it's got to be damaged. I go by, if there's any crease, it's damaged. No matter what the like TCG player guides that, like, I think a little crease can be even moderately played. But I will always try to err on the side of giving my buyer a slightly better quality card than they're expecting. So if they buy a moderately played, I'd like to try to at least give them a light play. If they buy a light play, I'd like it to be near mint. That's not always the case, because near mints are so random. And then if I give them near mint, I want it to truly be near mint. Like, never played, can still have some whitening on it, but as long as you can tell that the surface isn't scratched and the card hasn't been played with, like, that's a light played card. But damaged is always, if there are any creases or harm to the structural integrity of the card itself. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Just finishing writing this last address. I have 2 more first edition Kabutos listed. I put them for insane prices, and if they sell, I will not pay attention to Kabutos ever again. It's nonsense. It's a bunch of malarkey, as some people like to say. I don't know the last time I've ever used the word malarkey, but it's fun anyway. So, yeah, learn some new words, try some new vocabulary, do whatever makes you happy in life. But try to be kind, try to have empathy, and give people the benefit of the doubt. And your life will be much better. I can almost guarantee that. Well, it'll be better in the way of reduced anxiety and frustration about ongoing things in life. If you do have empathy, life will be a lot harder because you will see all of the injustice and all of the bad things that are happening to other people that you probably can't do anything about. And that will make your life much harder. So I can understand why some people are afraid of empathy and are scared of being able to imagine the struggle that somebody else is going through that they've never had to experience. That is scary, but it's also important to have the ability to. You can choose not to, if you have the mental capacity in any given moment, to be like, oh, nope, it's a thing that's out of my control. I can't do anything about it. So it's unfortunate for them, but I'm not going to let it affect me. But also there are going to be times where you're like, oh my goodness, this is going to impact the next week of my life because I can't do anything about it, but I want to, and it's devastating to me. So it's life is a tough thing sometimes. So it's important to keep working on yourself and your mental capacity to be able to try and make choices that allow you to function the way that you want to. So anyway, don't know how it got turned into that, but go to codesandcards.pro, buy my Pokemon stuff. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you. All right, bye.